you say from this point on can be used against you. Okay. Let's see who accepts it. Twitch has accepted the stream. YouTube has accepted the stream. Where do you want the timer?
Could you do bottom right, please?
Okay. Okay, now play with your buttons, make sure everything is working the way you want it to.
Okay, it seems good.
Okay, can I start the timer?
Yes, you can.
Here we go.
Thank you. Hello, Think Twice Radio, and welcome to another show of the Metachewy podcast. So I'm Metachewy, and this is a podcast. So in today's show, we're going to talk about a wide-ranging variety of topics. We're going to talk about some recent news about the Buffalo Bills. They played their first game, some Buffalo City Hall developments, and I'm going to talk a little bit, do a segment on CoinViz and talk about DeFi, decentralized finance, and kind of what that means. It's a big idea, so I'm going to get a little bit into that. So let's start with DeFi. I think that's a good place to start. So I've done some segments on Bitcoin, and I think Bitcoin. I've done some segments on the crypto economy, but I want to talk specifically today about DeFi, decentralized finance, or decentralized finance. So I talked about Bitcoin, and Bitcoin. Some of the topics that I've hit on Bitcoin is how essentially, right, crypto is about, we're building a new financial world. If essentially some of the podcasts I've done before, I kind of make the analogy that crypto is the new world. So if you think of Europe, back 1492 when Columbus, sailed the ocean blue and he found the new world, 1492, you're seeing something similar, I think, of crypto, right? Crypto is the new world. So in 2009, 2010, Satoshi, he minted Bitcoin. You can think of that as the discovery of the new world. So there's many, facets of this new world, but essentially what crypto is doing. It's if you think of the new world, it's the new finance. It's replacing the old world, our legacy banking systems, and really a 20th century way of banking. And I've talked on when people hear crypto, right? They hear crypto is a scam, which is true. There are scams within crypto, but crypto is a very broad term. So it's important to understand that Bitcoin is crypto, but crypto is Bitcoin, but crypto is also much bigger than Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, I like to think of that as a savings technology, right? It is the invention of absolute scarcity. It has its big invention is it uses blockchain to solve the Byzantine generals problem. So essentially, it's eliminated the need for centralized institutions. And then also a big invention of Bitcoin and blockchain is the invention of digital scarcity, right? So it's the first thing that's completely scarce on the internet. So there's a fixed cap of 21 million coins. There will only ever be 21 million coins because that was Satoshi's algorithm that he planned. So it's really fixed, hard money. I think crypto, it's in Bitcoin specifically, in the larger ecosystem, I think it's helpful to think of Bitcoin as digital gold, right? You'll hear digital gold a lot, and I think that is a good use case. And I think Bitcoin has proven that it really can be thought of as a digital gold. But obviously, in our day-to-day lives, we need more than just gold, right? We need more to save money, right? I think Bitcoin's great too, and I think something I've been pondering too lately is how Bitcoin is great for really building wealth, right? Generational wealth. So if you are a blue collar, working person, and you put a little bit in a bank account, right? You save up the money so that you can, have generational wealth, and so you can pass them down to your children, your children's children, and keep something in the family. And Bitcoin is great at that because it's got a 21 million fixed supply. So you can, if you buy a Satoshi today or buy 10 Satoshis today, for the rest of time, you will have 10 Satoshis out of 21 million coins. And Bitcoin, relatively in the crypto ecosystem, is slow, right? It uses a proof of work blockchain algorithm, which is its invention. Its blockchain is based on proof of work, which is that's a whole other topic in itself. But essentially, you can think of proof of work as the computer game that computers play to pay Bitcoin. It's very energy intensive, but it's very secure, right? You have all these computers fighting, and it uses a block or a proof of work algorithm as its blockchain technology, and it is very slow relatively, right? I mean, I should just say relatively in crypto, right? You can move Bitcoins or Satoshis across the world 24/7, 365, whenever you want, how much ever you want. You pay a fee, and essentially, I found a block or essentially a transaction can take up to 10-15 minutes. Seems to be if you move money from one wallet to another, it takes about 10-15 minutes, which yes, if you're using a Visa MasterCard, 10 minutes is extremely slow for a transaction. But when you think of generational wealth, right, building wealth, whether it's I think most people in the 20th century today, right, housing, properties are thought of like generational wealth, something you buy, you hold on to, and you pass down to generations. If you really, if you have children and you move your wealth one time, whether that wealth takes, 5 seconds or 10 minutes, it's really kind of irrelevant when you think about it, right? It's more important that wealth stays secure and it stays valuable, which is kind of Bitcoin's, the great thing about it is it's a fixed value, so 21 million coins, so you're buying a fixed share that cannot be printed away. And also, it takes 10 minutes, but if it's in a wallet, if you don't have the private keys, if you don't have, know the math to get into that wallet, it is secure. And that's great, right? We need the ability, especially in this economy, right? I'm recording this video in 2024, and from where I am, my eyes and ears are experiencing insane amounts of inflation, right? So prices are going up, wages are staying the same. And you really can't, but you can't, right? You can save money, you can keep it in a bank account, but every day that your dollar stays in a bank account, it is just getting inflated away because they're making more money, and it's a treadmill that you can't keep up. So really, the ability for normal people to save money is not really, it's not really a smart choice, right, to keep money in a bank that sits there and does nothing. We live in an economy right now, as I record this 2024, where if you have money, in excess of money, the advice is buy something, buy a stock, buy a property, get it out, get that money working for you. And really throughout human history, gold has been kind of a store of value, right? If you had, a block of gold, it was pretty good, and you knew that gold would be worth something in the future because it's very labor intensive to mine gold. To get no gold, it's very scarce. So you knew it was valuable. So yeah, gold has historically been a store of value, and Bitcoin's kind of taking a lot of the properties of gold and replicated that in the digital space. But yeah, gold's great. Storing wealth is great. Across generations, across time and space is available. It's something that you need your money, you need your assets to do. But it doesn't fulfill all your needs of money, right? So money also needs to be something else. It needs to be agile, it needs to be quick, it needs to be fast, you need to buy bacon at the store, right? You need to buy toothpicks, you need to, gamble on fantasy football, you need to move even little bits. You have daily needs as a human being that you need to fulfill. So whether that's going to a grocery store and buying food, whether that's trading little things, going to a flea market, spending a buck or a quarter to get a plumb bob, there's many other things that you need money to do other than just store its value over time, right? You have immediate needs in the short term that you need to be met. You got bills that gotta be paid, food that needs to be ate and purchased. For that, gold is not very good, right? It's clunky. Can you imagine if every time you went to a grocery store, you had to, carry a thing of gold, a little brick of gold and shave it off? I mean, it's not feasible, which is why they've invented fiat money. So essentially, fiat money was a great invention in that it represented gold historically, not, since we moved off the gold standard, it doesn't do that. But essentially, fiat money, what it was good at is you could, keep gold in a bank, and then that bank can then say, yes, this gold is here. Here is, paper money that represents the gold in the bank, and you go use it in the real world. And if you ever want gold, you can bring it, and we will trade, the paper you have for actual gold. So it's a good way of kind of abstracting the concept of gold and getting rid of its physical properties, right? If you have something that's as valuable as gold, because a bank will take it, for what it says it's worth. So it is essentially valuable because a banker will redeem it for gold, but you've kind of abstracted the physical qualities, right? It has a hard, numeric value on it that you don't have to shave off little things, a big shaving, a small shaving based on what you're buying. And also it's portable, right? It's lightweight, it's paper, it's quick, people use it. So it was a good invention. The problem with the paper obviously is that money printer go burr. If there's paper money that says represents gold, it makes, right, if you're the person that is that middleman where we say we have gold in the bank, we give you paper money, the temptation, the power that corrupts absolutely is that person or, the banker, the institution erodes that trust and says, oh, well, actually we can give away more paper than we have money in the bank and no one will know because as long as we got some, if 1% of people come ask for their gold every day, we only need 1% of the gold behind us. So funny business can get around it, which is kind of a fear. So essentially, that's a long-winded way of saying that gold needs to do more than just be a store of value, right? We need to use our Visa, our MasterCards, and spend money every day to buy bacon, to buy ham, to buy vegetables at the store, to buy, siding for our houses, plumbing for our pipes. We need to pay a plumber to unclog our toilet. We need to, pay a mechanic to fix our car. We have needs that need to be done in real time. We have an economy to service. And that's where DeFi comes in. DeFi, decentralized finance, is there is this whole ecosystem of innovation going on in Web3 that is super exciting, which is essentially trying to replicate the need for more than just gold. We need everyday transactions. We need Visa and MasterCard, but in the crypto sphere. And that's decentralized finance. So I think a good way to understand decentralized finance is to understand, our legacy system. We have banks. So we have banking institutions that, are trusted middlemen, intermediaries between buyers and sellers, between, people selling houses, people buying houses, people depositing money, people withdrawing money. You have, in the legacy world, banks that service this function. In the crypto, in the new world, we have things called exchanges, which are similar to banks, but there's nuance to it. So there's really two types of exchanges in the crypto world, right? Because you need somewhere where you can exchange, fiat money, whether it's a US dollar, whether it's a peso, whether it's Chinese yen for crypto. So I need to be able to trade my dollars for Bitcoin, or trade my dollars for Ethereum, or trade my dollars for meme coins. Or maybe I need to sell. Maybe the tax man's coming after me and I need to sell some of my meme coins for US dollars. I need to sell some of my Ethereum to pay a plumber, vice versa. So you need a trusted intermediary. And also you need to be able to, if we're building a crypto economy, a true economy, you need to be able to switch between different units. So trade Bitcoin for Ethereum, Ethereum for Solana, Solana for Dogecoin, and vice versa. Ideally you have all of this ability to do it, let alone other things that, we're not seeing on crypto yet, but it's coming. So really in the crypto world, there's two types of exchanges. There's, a traditional centralized exchange and decentralized exchanges, or a DEX. And people, when they use the term centralized exchange, no one really says centralized exchange. Essentially, if you hear the word exchange, implied to that is it probably is a centralized exchange. People really kind of use the language a DEX or a decentralized finance, or decentralized exchange if they mean a decentralized protocol. So centralized exchange, decentralized exchange, CeFi, DeFi, centralized finance, decentralized finance. So essentially, I think it's easy to start with exchange, right? So we have banks in the legacy world, exchanges in the crypto world. So some of the most popular exchanges are, obviously the big one is Coinbase. So Coinbase is an exchange, right? It is we could go, so if you're completely new to the crypto world, you could go to Coinbase. So coinbase.com, you can sign up for an account, and essentially it's like a bank account. You can create an account on a centralized exchange or Coinbase. So Coinbase is similar to a bank in that there's, employees at Coinbase. You could essentially call someone at Coinbase and a human being would pick up the phone. They interface with the legacy world in that, they are registered. They have certain credentials and certain standards in the legacy world, right? They're a tradable stock. They're a company. They're a centralized exchange. There is, a CEO. There's a board. There's, investors and whatnot. But they're the most popular exchanges. Coinbase. Also, there's some Binance. There's Binance. There's KuCoin. There's all whole host of legacy. And just for transparency, I'm a New York State resident, and unfortunately for residents of New York State in the United States, New York, for those of that you may not know, New York is really equivalent to, it's categorized to places like North Korea, like Eastern Ukraine, like Iran. New York residents are some of the most financially oppressed people on the planet. They're up there with, people that live in North Korea have, almost equal rights when it comes to the crypto economy as New York State. And now why is that? New York State is unique. U.S. has residents, but New York is specifically unique in how regulated it is because of something specifically called the BIT license, which was when Bitcoin and crypto was just starting out, right? The legacy world, and when you think of, the legacy financial capital of the world, it's Manhattan, right? Manhattan, Wall Street. So the people on Wall Street, the bankers in finance in New York State specifically, are extremely opposed to crypto because they are the financial capital of CeFi, of centralized finance, of legacy finance, and they want to protect that at all costs, which led to all of New York State having this very burdensome BIT license, which essentially makes it nearly impossible to operate a crypto company, crypto exchange in New York State. So really, to New York State residents, it is egregious relative to other states. Every state in the United States has its own regulations. So as someone in New York State, I can really only use Coinbase, but there's other exchanges. Binance is another big popular one. And there's some other ones. So essentially, these are companies in kind of, essentially they're like legacy not legacy companies, but they're a company. They have an interface, a website that you can go to buy. There is some on the phone if you need to call them. So that's a centralized exchange. Then on the other end are DEX, or decentralized exchanges, which those are crypto native, right? And they're unique in, and I think, so there's a couple. So essentially a DEX, and I'm most familiar with the Uniswap protocol. So Uniswap is a DEX, or a decentralized exchange built on the Ethereum blockchain. So someone essentially took Ethereum and spun up a DEX, or a software program that you could go onto and trade tokens around. So Uniswap is one I'm popular with. There's a whole other, I think PancakeSwap. There's a whole other list of them. Uniswap is the most popular one on Ethereum. And then I've also started to do some research in another one on Solana, which is another big crypto blockchain, is Jupiter. So that's another decentralized exchange. But there's many, and it's very easy. And the thing about DeFi or crypto is that it's an open source community. So there's many variations because the Uniswap code is essentially open source. So any developer can kind of fork Uniswap or fork a DEX and create their own version of it. But DEXs are different in that there is no human being on the line, right? It's all literally computer code. And so yeah, that's a decentralized exchange. So it's computer code. Essentially, you can connect your crypto wallet to a DEX and interface. You can trade tokens. You can swap currencies around with no human being behind the scenes. I mean, there's coders that maintain the code, but 24/7, 365, there's no human being verifying your transactions. That's a decentralized exchange. I think, so yeah, and I think, so I want to talk a little bit about DeFi here. We'll pivot a little bit to just maybe a philosophy, right? And I need to be clear and transparent that I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. If you want or need financial advice, I encourage that you contact a banker, preferably a credentialed banker that looks the part and speaks the part and has credentials and certain certifications that I do not. I'm just a talking head talking about technology on the internet. So this is not financial advice. Anything I said previously in this episode, previous shows, or in the future. But that being said, I want to talk a little bit about maybe my personal DeFi philosophy or decentralized finance philosophy. So on DeFi, I am, right, in crypto's complicated, right? It is scammy. There's so many scams in crypto. I would lose my breath saying them all. I don't know them all, right? There's scammers, and there also is, again, coming back to the new world, there's, schemes being spun up outside of regulations that are scams, but there was also the opportunity to buy Manhattan Island, 400 years before it is what it is today. So there are opportunities to make life-changing generational wealth here in crypto. I don't know what those are. I'm trying to find them, just as everyone else is. But there also are tons of scams and scammers that will take your money, sell you the hope and dream of making generational wealth to scam. So it's a dangerous place, but that's why I'm attracted to it, as many other people are. Especially as, I'm a mid-millennial. So as someone that's a little younger, but not too young, have seen the internet expand before my eyes, right? My whole life. When I was 5, I remember life before the computer, which is like something crazy to say here in this year, but it's true. And the reason that crypto, the reason that Web3, that DeFi excites me is, again, coming back to the new world, old world analogy. If you were in the old world, if you were 1493 in Christopher Columbus and you got wind of a new world, for many people that were comfortable, that had a good living, that had good investments, that were comfortable, had a good quality of life in the old world, you would scoff at that. Why I have it good here? Why would I go explore or go somewhere else? But for a whole host of people, the opportunity, you were in a legacy world, old world that didn't value, there's no opportunity. So the idea of a new world, somewhere where you could go explore, make wealth, find new things, is very appealing, right? Especially, and that's kind of how I feel as a millennial. I don't know, maybe in the comments, let me know if you feel similar, but it does feel like there is no opportunity in the legacy world, in the old world, for people like me to really build wealth, to set myself up in future generations with a better life, or even improve my life in the future. As I record this in 2024, there's many forces that someone like myself in this old world, someone that's younger, face, right? I have inflation, and we have inflation that's not only increasing the price of, everyday items that, we need for food, housing, transportation, insurance, taxes, everything's going up in price. But at the same time, we have kind of this staggering economy where wages aren't going up. So we're fighting the force of inflation. And also, a lot of our legacy system is someone that's younger. The idea of Social Security, which has been, a social program that's, entering almost 100 years of existence here and has worked, historically or is worked since its inception as a way of setting, you work now, you contribute to Social Security, and on the back end, you get Social Security payments and you'll have, a comfortable life in retirement. As someone that's, a mid-millennial, and I've pressed people, but if you press someone on Social Security, how are we going to fund it? No one can ever really give you an answer. It's always, oh, they wouldn't let it go bankrupt. That would be, mutiny. That would be revolution. Or, oh, that will never happen. It's always been this way. That type of thinking, and it scares me, right? Because in a crypto world where everything can be explained through code, everything can be verified, the idea that, oh, just trust them. It's okay. It'll be okay. They got it. That'll never happen. That mindset, and I'm just someone of a generation, I know I've met younger people, Zoomers too, that I don't need to explain why Social Security won't be for there. You just intuitively know it. So it does feel like there's this erosion of the traditional safety net in the legacy world. So yeah, inflation, and just as younger people, there's all sorts of debt, right? Student loan debt. The economy is not great at this time. So there are many people like myself, I'm not alone, that view the legacy world, the old world, as not working for them. The idea of this new world is very exciting, right? I can go, the internet's something I've been around my whole life. I understand the internet. The boomers and the old folks that are collecting Social Security that don't know anything about the internet, I get why they don't want to explore the new world. But if this, especially me seeing how technology and how the internet has moved just throughout my life, it's very clear that it's going to continue to expand. So coming back to my philosophy of DeFi, yes, to be transparent, I'm trying to make money. I want to make money. I want to build wealth. But at the same time, and it's something in crypto you kind of have to balance of, I also view every dollar, every penny, every nickel that goes into crypto is zero. I just lost money. So I think it's comfortable to, you're building wealth on one hand, but also you're very aware that the rug could be pulled and it could go to zero at any moment. And that's, I think, a healthy philosophy. So I don't encourage anyone to spend money they don't have, to invest money they don't have. But at the same time, everything that I do in crypto and Web3, I feel like an explorer, right? I do things to learn things. That's why I kind of interact. So even as I started interfacing with the Uniswap protocol and decentralized finance, I mean, the first time I set up a liquidity pool in my wallet, so my MetaMask wallet, and made my first thing, I felt so nervous, right? I felt like, oh, what if happens if I click that button? Is it going to get scammed? Is it what not? But using the internet, using my own self-perception of my own gut, if it feels right or right, I slowly have been tinkering and pushing, and I encourage people to view your interactions in DeFi, your interview in crypto as in the back of your mind, you want to make money, but in the short term, what you're really focused on is learning, right? Because the more you learn and become comfortable with, DeFi protocols and go more to the frontier, right? Since I've interacted with the Uniswap and centralized finance and, put tokens into liquidity pools that then I earn interest to, all that learning of, oh, whoa, I can click this button and it connects to my MetaMask and it pulls it and I can see the interest I'm earning in real time on tokens. That's all learning to me. That's like, whoa, look what I'm doing. So it just makes my interactions, when I go to the legacy world, right, I still have to interact. My mind, my spirit, my soul can be on the crypto sphere and on in the crypto world, but I still am a physical human being with this meat bag. I have to interact with bankers. I need loans. I need a checking account. But I think the more you learn about the new world, the more, me personally, that I've interacted with the new world, it becomes very clear to me that this is the future, because once you see how it can be done, when you go and have to interact in the legacy world and see how it is done, it really, it makes it unacceptable, and it just makes you, so it just becomes apparent what's going to happen. Because when the first time you set up a Uniswap protocol and you see how it's just all done with technology, it works, you actually can see interest that you're collecting on your coins, and then you go to a bank, and you see that, oh, my money is flat. I earned, I have $1,000 in the bank and I make 1 penny a month in interest. It just makes it apparent, and it informs your learning. And I think it's healthy to view it as a true explorer, a true pioneer, because we are. This has never happened before. We've never upended a legacy financial system on the internet. This is all new. So we are the pioneers. We are the explorers, and I encourage people to have a healthy mix of cunning and kind of seeing where the world is going and interacting, but also being a little naive of I'm just exploring here. I'm gambling a little bit, but I'm also exploring. So I think it is healthy to just, and that's exciting, right? We've explored the physical world, right? The bottom of the ocean and whale falls are a thing that we don't know about. But I'm not getting into a little ship and going to the bottom of the ocean. So there's no new territory to explore. But the internet, that's the new frontier, and that's where I like to explore. That's where I like to learn and innovate. And just, it feels exciting to go try new things that have never been done before. But let me explain like a DEX and simply. So what's, a centralized exchange like Coinbase or a DEX? Why use them? So let me talk about DEXs a little bit in decentralized finance. So I'm most familiar with Uniswap protocol. I have started to tinker a little bit with Jupiter on the Solana, and I've really just found those just by doing research. Uniswap, right, it's the OG DEX on Ethereum. It's the oldest, it's the biggest, but there are other ones that I haven't tinkered with, and I'm interested. If you've used it, drop a comment about it, because I'm also tinkering too. So we're learning together. This isn't me telling you how it's done. This is just my experience in Uniswap. But essentially, Uniswap, and I can make a tutorial that I'll link to too about actually using it. But one thing that's really exciting, especially from the wealth ability, and right, you think of the legacy world. You put the money in a bank account. You can take out a CD. That might pay you 5%. That seems to be a good deal these days at the bank. But essentially, the bank's making money off you, right? You deposit money in a bank. That bank then takes your money once you walk out and lends it to someone else with a fee, right? And they make money off your money. Then you come back the next day, they give you your money. But behind the scenes, they were making money off you, right? By you having sitting money account. So I want to talk a little bit about DEX, which is cool about liquidity pools, but also Uniswap. I mean, this applies to all DEXs, kind of the philosophy of a DEX, but I've used Uniswap of essentially if you have two tokens. So, I have some Ethereum and I have the Uniswap token. What you can do is you can put your liquidity or the coins, the tokens that you own that are in your wallet, and essentially you can say, I'm just doing numbers for example's sake, but say I have 1 Ethereum and I have 1,000 Uniswap. And then those are just rough numbers, but okay. I have Uniswap tokens. I have Ethereum, those two assets. They're sitting in my wallet. They're not doing anything, just like a bank account. What Uniswap and what DEXs allow users to do, which is really cool, is you can then take those two items, you can put them in a liquidity pool. So you create a smart contract where you take, these fixed amounts. So say it's an Ethereum and 1,000 Uniswap. You put them in kind of a contract that says, hey, for the time being, I'm allowing the Uniswap protocol to use these assets. So you put them up in a liquidity pool with other users. Essentially, Uniswap through programming and through computations, computers, take all the money that users do and put them in liquidity pools. So it kind of uses algorithms and code to mix and match people that are swapping between tokens. So if there's users, say there's a user in Thailand, for example, that is trading out Ethereum for Uniswap. They can go use Uniswap, use a DEX interface, say, I want to trade, I want to swap my Uniswap from Ethereum. Then that user, uses the interface on the back end, then goes back to the Uniswap Ethereum protocol, liquidity pool, might say, hey, Metachewy's got some Ethereum and Uniswap. We'll take some from this wallet, transition over. Essentially, it does matchmaking, right? It takes money that I say, hey, I have this money, I have these coins, these tokens they're mine, right? They are my coins, my tokens, but I don't need them right now. And I give you permission to trade them as needed. And then Uniswap says, okay, let's put that in a smart contract. And then when, someone in Thailand needs liquidity, we can use Metachewy's coins and tokens and use that as essentially a cash register of, breaking change and giving the user in Thailand that needs the coins right there and then their coins, help them swap. But then what it can do is it can thank the user or me who's in a liquidity pool and actually give me interest. So give me a fee, the same fee that the bank in the legacy world is getting. It can take that fee or, charge that user in Thailand or somewhere in the world that's swapping out, because charge them a small gas fee, a small fee to do that, for the privilege of doing that, and then take that money, instead of putting it into a bank's endowment or a bank's balance sheets, can say, thank you, user, thank you for your liquidity, here's a small interest. So essentially, it's a way for normal everyday people. So it doesn't matter, you can create super small liquidity pools or super small amounts of liquidity, or if you're a whale, you can put large amounts. But you can take your liquidity, however big or small, and put it up for swapping in a DEX, which is super exciting, right? Because we're very limited in the legacy world of being able to get money, right? We're really limited to CDs and bank accounts that earn near zero interest. Meanwhile, some banker, is getting 0% loans, but we're normal people can get credit cards with higher amounts of interest. So it's very exciting because it allows, essentially what these DEXs are doing they are kind of, through computer code, just automating the whole banking middleman function of connecting users through an interface of, liquidity providers, of depositors, and then people are swapping out. So it's just very exciting as a normal person to have that ability to kind of put your money to work as you sleep. So I encourage people to experiment in the Crypto 3. So I think, the first step to the cryptoverse is having coins, right? Going to a centralized exchange, whether it's a Coinbase, whether it's a Binance, and trading US dollars for coins and having them on exchange. Then kind of the next level is, as you get more advanced, is okay. Maybe I could talk about a little bit centralized exchanges. When you buy coins or tokens on a centralized exchange, that money is yours, but it's very much a bank. If you're kind of trusting the bank to hold that money for you, and then that bank interfaces with you through an account. Whereas on a DEX and on a decentralized exchange, you are connecting your own wallet. So part of it, something that's important to know, is centralized exchanges. So if you buy coins, let's say you buy Bitcoin on a Coinbase, right? And you set up a Coinbase account and you hold Bitcoins or Ethereum in your account on Coinbase. It is in your account and it is your coins, but you are essentially your wallet, or you're trusting the Coinbase to be your bank, to take care of the security, to hold it for you, which is fine. Right, for the new person, it's very helpful to have someone, a company or a centralized exchange manage that function for you. But as you get more advanced, and obviously the new world is taking ownership. So there's a term that goes not your coins, not your crypto. So I encourage everyone to, use a centralized exchange to trade US dollars or trade fiat money for coins, but then don't let the centralized exchanges hold your coins. Move them off to your own wallet, which is then where kind of the DeFi comes in. Because DeFi, essentially, you can hold money in your own wallets. So I know Uniswap interfaces with MetaMask wallets, so you can essentially create a crypto wallet in a MetaMask in the browser, move money from an exchange into your MetaMask wallet, and then through smart contract programming, Uniswap can essentially just connect right to your MetaMask through a smart contract of having access to it. But that's very exciting because you can actually still your coins, right? It's in your wallet. You have just signed a contract with Uniswap, or a smart contract, that says you can hold that coin, or they can use it for a liquidity pool. So I encourage everyone to move from centralized exchanges to your own wallet once you've kind of have some experience under your belt. But it's just very exciting, and I've tinkered a little bit. I am not some whale. I am not some early investor, but I'm a tinkerer, right? I think we all should be. And I'm an explorer. I'm exploring just like everybody else here is. I'm figuring out as I go too. So I have some tutorials that I will post, but I just encourage everyone to explore and to share your findings, with people. But at the same time, know that this is the Wild West. So I could be recording this video today in 2024, and tomorrow, maybe the whole Uniswap protocol gets hacked, and all the liquidity pools, all the wallets that had contracts with Uniswap might get hacked and my balance could go to zero. That's a risk. That's something I'm completely aware of, and that's my philosophy of, I know in my mind that's going to happen, right? It's all zero, but at least two. I mean, so at least two. Right. So it could all go to zero. I'm aware of that, but at the same time, I learned, even if it did go zero, I learned that I got scammed, but I learned along the way. So, it's just exciting. I encourage people to tinker and explore. There's other projects, but Uniswap is a big one that I'm, a fan of. So that was a kind of a long talk on DeFi, and it's that's not even scratching the surface. I'm talking about one protocol, but the larger DeFi, movement, it really is a movement at this point of, it's exciting. It's rethinking banking. It's rethinking finance with the internet, and it's moving as we go. So, that's a long, winding rant about DeFi. And yeah, drop a comment if you'd like to see. This is my first kind of video I've made on DeFi, Uniswap. Very introductory, kind of trying to explain some of the maybe philosophies or higher level concepts, but I'm very open to maybe getting into deeper ones. And I'm ignorant. There's lots of things I don't know about. So if there are projects you'd like to see me explore, drop a comment, because I'm also interested in exploring with people too, because we're all doing it together. So let me reconfigure here. Let's talk about the Buffalo Bills. So yeah, let's talk about the Buffalo Bills. So I'm a Bills fan. I've been a Bills fan, not through choice, through birth, but it's a choice now. I'm still a Bills fan. But I want to talk about the new season, right? We had a new season, new 2024 season. This is our year, right? We tell ourselves every year. But week 1 saw the Buffalo Bills face the Arizona Cardinals at home. And it was a good home opener. A little bit of heartache. The Bills fell behind early. It didn't look promising, and then us as Bills fans, right, we've seen the story, we start telling ourselves, and then the new narrative that I think we need to tell ourselves, because we're all, I know I still too, as someone that's been there since the 90s, not the Super Bowl days, but late 90s as a child and seeing it through, right? We have trauma, right? Us as a fan base, as a people, there's generational trauma we have of, we always think we're going to lose. But the new narrative I think we need to start program is we have Josh Allen. So I think that's the big high level takeaway from week 1 of the Bills did not play great. They didn't play terrible. They picked themselves up in the second half. But if we got Josh Allen, we got a chance. And I think the big story, at least for me, was, Josh Allen is, a top quarterback. I think obviously there's the polls that came out that he's overrated. But I encourage any outsider to watch a Buffalo Bills game and still say that he's overrated, right? He did have a fumble, and I think the mainstream media will pick up, oh, Josh Allen, another fumble. But as a Bill fan, I speak for myself, but I speak for all Bills fans. It sucks. It sucks when Josh, fumbles the ball, when he throws interceptions. We don't like that. But, we also accept that that's part of the experience, and we really don't care. He fumbled in the first part of the game, but he ended up with 4 touchdowns. In one of the rushing touchdowns where he juked, hurdled over a guy, and then jumped in the end zone and took 2 defensive linemen with you. It's really, obviously we want to win the Super Bowl, but I've kind of come to the philosophy of it's just a joy for us as Buffalo Bills fans to have the privilege, because it is a privilege, to watch Josh Allen play every Sunday. He's so passionate about the game of football, and also just his whole personality, and just he really fits with Buffalo, and it's just a pleasure to watch him play, and we hope that his hand heals up, and if we got him, we got a chance. That's kind of the big thing. It's still the same thing, which is kind of the concern as the Bills fans. I think we come into this year very much viewing it as a rebuilding year, right? So our salary cap was a mess, and I think this year is the first kind of iteration of, we had this first, Josh is in his 7th year now. So the first 6 years were that core, whether it's Mitch Morris, Tre'Davious White, a whole host of guys, Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer. The old guard is not there anymore, right? It didn't work. It was clear it couldn't work anymore. So Brandon Bean this year over the summer really is kind of reconfiguring the cap. We're kind of brought some younger guys in. This year is very much it feels like a rebuilding year, but we have Josh Allen. But again, this year, we traded Stephon Diggs. We have some big cap hits, but our cap space turns around. Hopefully we can retool. So it feels like this is like the beginning of almost V2 of the Josh Allen era, where we just have younger guys, right? We have guys that we don't know. So on offense, we have, we're hoping Dalton Kincaid at tight end. Khalil Shakir looked great. I don't know why we don't feed him the ball more. He seems to make a play every time he gets the ball. So we have some unknowns, some new guys that we're hoping that can step up. But again, the big takeaway is we still have Josh Allen, so we got a chance. I don't know. I think recording this too in the beginning of the year, as a Bills fan, I do not think we will win the Super Bowl this year. It just doesn't feel like we've got maybe the depth, the experience, but I don't know. Fan bases that have won Super Bowls, maybe you can tell me maybe the years that you don't expect it is the year you get it. So I think as long as we have Josh Allen, we have a chance. But the problem with the Bills has been it's always just about Josh Allen. He has to do everything, and he does lots of things and almost does it all the time. But I'm just nervous that we don't have the supporting cast this year. But who knows? We might be surprised along the way. So that was the big thing. We got Josh Allen. We're okay as long as he's healthy. As long as he's out there, we got a shot. The other big thing that I think as a fan that I saw that was like my big takeaway was Greg Rousseau. He looked phenomenal on the defensive line. I think we should get him signed to a contract very quick because it seems like the longer that he plays the way he did on Sunday, we're going to have a hefty bill at the end. And I think it's very exciting to see Greg Rousseau or Groot. See him this year, right when we drafted him a couple of years. We drafted him at the end of the first round. He was very young, very raw. And he was a guy we picked where it was like, we know he's, it's going to take him a while, but we can develop into something. He can develop, right? He's still young. He can, just develop physically, develop mentally, and, become something. And it seems like we're starting to see those dividends pay out. So it seems like that we might have hit on the pick because he just looked like a freak of nature out there. He's big. He moves well. He was making plays. He had 3 sacks, and he's just, a heck of a player. And I think that's, as a Bills fan, that's part of the larger. We've spent so much capital on the defensive line, right? When you think of, spending second-round picks, whether it was Boogie Basham, I can't name all, but we've been for a while bringing, the Von Miller contract, having to go out, bring in a guy with a heavy salary. Which, side note, he looked much better. Not like his old. Vintage self, but he looked way much better than last year. He looked like he was running around there, which is promising. He's a leadership. If he can step up, that's bigger our team too. But the Bills, right, our philosophy has always been on defense, building up our lines, and we've spent so much capital, so much draft capital, cap space on bringing guys in, and we've had lots of busts. It's been an issue, I think. Epineza, he's good, but I don't know if he's, second round pick or what we hoped for, but it looks like we did hit on Rousseau, and finally it looks like he's going to be a player, so hopefully we'll have the cap space, and I think we will, to be able to sign him. But he looked great. That was my big takeaway too on defense. The third, special teams. I think that we saw that rule where the new kickoff rule, where the Bills kind of iced the game in the fourth quarter. We went up by 10. Josh Hurdle guy. It felt like, okay, here we can cruise, and then next play, new kickoff rule. We have a kick return. And it's a heck of a game, and again, Bills fans makes you cringe, which makes me. I wish Buffalo Joe was in there because it's like if I get Buffalo Joe, he's undrafted, but if we're gonna let up a kick return anyway, we might as well put him in there because at least I'm excited to see him make his first tackle at the old Ralph and see the fans go wild. So week 1, the big kind of takeaway, I guess, is that it looks like I think we'll be a good team. I don't think we can't play the way we did last week and beat a team like the Chiefs or the elite teams. But I think, and I saw it all over. I mean, the Cardinals had an episode there at the end of the game, right, where they're pushing for the game. It was like 3rd and 9, and they ran a running back draw for like a 1-yard gain, and then it's 4th down, and then it's 4th and long, and then you got to throw. So and that was just one instance, but I think as a Bills fan, I think we're a little hoity now that we've won the division a couple years in a row, and playoffs seem to be the standard now. But I think when you see the regular season, you just forget how bad or how comical some of the incompetence is around the NFL of some of the mid to lower teams. And not saying the Cardinals, I think they're going to be a good team as well, but right, there's levels to it too, because when the Bills get in the playoffs, you just see some of the errors that McDermott makes that a coach like a Reed or a Belichick doesn't. But yeah. We won. That's the main thing. We want to know we got a tough schedule this year, And as I record this, week 2, Bills versus Dolphins, which I think is really right. This is, and especially as a Bills fan, right? We had a couple close games, especially we played the Dolphins in the playoffs last year. We know that they're a tail, and I think this could be a year where they very potentially could overtake us as the division leader. So this really feels like two powers of the AFC East really, determining the rest of the season, because this sets the tone, right? The winner has a 1-game lead over the other, so whoever loses is playing catch up for the rest of the year, and it also sees where we stack, right? How do the Bills losing that guide? Do the Dolphins now, if they come out and overtake us, who knows? Maybe they can set the tone for the season to say, hey, we're here in the AFC East now. So this should be an exciting game the early lead in the AFC East, and I do expect us to regress a little bit, and I also expect the Cardinals, right? And I think as a Bills fan too, we experienced, your first time as you do have to have a couple falls. So it wouldn't surprise me if the Dolphins pulled out this game, right? They have good young players, and they've almost had us a couple times. And I think the fear being a Bills fans is that at some point Josh Allen can't do it all himself, or God forbid he gets hurt, knock on wood. I mean, he hurt his hand, and just with his style of play, that what we're witnessing can't last. So that's quick analysis. I guess a couple things I'm looking at is I'd love to see Khalil Shakir. Let's get him the ball more, because I think he had 3 catches, and every time he gets the catch, you have to tackle him. He needs to be tackled. He doesn't just fall over if you hit him. So I'd love to see our new offense, and Ray Davis, the running back, the new rookie running back, he had a couple touches where it's like, oh, he runs good. Like he runs good. So excited to see him, and just excited to see this new. It feels like, the old era. We had Stephon Diggs where it really felt like Josh needed to feed him the ball, and that worked. But this seems very much more delegation. And I think Josh he's got that field general awareness of, I think the Dolphins were trying to take Kincaid away, and he's just able to, and I think that's what you see with elite quarterbacks. They don't force anyone, right? Brady was always looking for Gronk, but if Gronk was double covered, he'd hit it in the flat, take it as you come. And I think it seems like this year's offense specifically is going to be more delegation, more spreading the ball around, which is great. I think that's a great philosophy to have, and I think over time we'll see. Buffalo Bills football. That's my first analysis, and we'll see. I'll record one, or maybe a week or two. Try to do a couple throughout the season, because I'm a Bills fan, passionate about it too, and hopefully this is our year. But as a Bills fan, especially if that loss last year to Kansas City, I feel numb now. Right? I used to feel pain when we would lose. Now I just felt numb. Because that felt like, oh, we had them, the Chiefs at home, and then they won, and we were running it, but we'll see. It all comes down to some 70-year-old referee making a questionable call anyway. So, just use game day as a day to, get together with friends and family and kick back and take your stress away from the daily inflation and other political news. So, blood and circuses, but it's a fun circus. So, Buffalo Bills. Go Bills. Okay, I got about 10 minutes here. I wanted to do a quick segment on the mayor's race. I think we had some recent news. Let me refigure here. I'm going to do, let's do a little open mic. I'll record. So let me just configure here. I've done a couple open mics here where, just trying to record music on the internet, because I think I've done some analog open mics at bars, and that was definitely scary at first, and I definitely am not expert and still feel the nerves if I get up and perform in front of people. But I think with where I'm at now, my fear is publishing music on the internet, because it's there's something about anybody being able to see you, and then anybody, at least in an open mic, if you bomb, those people at the bar saw you, whereas if you bomb on the internet, who knows, my political opponents may use it against me in the future, but then I'll just make a political song against them. So let's see. So let me sit down here. We get it reconfigured. So I think I guess I'll try to maybe explain a little fear, because I'm not any sort of educated, but I think at least from what I've learned about playing the bass, is just the importance of really the bass's role is kind of right. It's between the drums, right, keeping the beat, but also between the melody. It's kind of lives in that space between the rhythm and between the melody. And I think something that's important in Western music, right, is just based on intervals. We have the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, which is the intervals of Western music. And really in Western music specifically, the fifth. So the idea of fifth, that's like the interval, the first and the fifth. So the first note and the fifth note of a scale are like, sound really good. The interval, the distance between those two notes is good. So something I've played around with just the bass, right, playing simply. So the fifth in the bass is really, if you can think of a one, so I'll pick a note here. So you hear that. I guess I don't know what note that is, but that's a note, right? And then the fifth on the bass is just 2 frets up in a string higher. So we have the 1 and then the 5. Right, so you can hear that. See here, just the space between those notes sounds good, right? Right, that sounds very pleasant to our ears. Versus, let's say, even just one note off, a first and a fifth. See, hear how this sounds. Hear that? That sounds good, right? And this sounds a little cringy. Which, maybe that's the mood you're wanting going for. In that case, use that note. But we're thinking pop music, right? So very, dumb, simple music uses this fifth a lot because it sounds naturally good. So that interval, I think, really the bass you can think of it is just really using those two notes. How you get from 1 to 5, 1 1 5 5. You're kind of going from there to there anyway. I feel like bass, what I've kind of, the philosophy I've tried to develop is how you get there is, the interesting part. And I'm not an expert, but something I've found is, that here's good to my ear that I've decided to use a lot of my playing is, the first and the fifth, right? But then a second and a fourth to me always sounds really good. And I seem to want to always default, and I've been focused on trying to play simply, but play, as I develop my sound is I always seem to and can use these 4 notes, right? So 1, for some reason, the 1 2. So 1 5 4 2 1 1 2 4 5, and the 1 4 5. That's like such a common progression of 1 4 5. Yeah, I think on chord progressions. So essentially, the bass, if you're playing a very boring way, if the whole band is playing a chord, so say they're playing a G major chord, the bass would play G because G is the root. So that's kind of very basic. And if you knew nothing about bass and you were going up on stage and someone threw a bass in your hand, and you can only say one thing, I would just say play the root because you're never going to be wrong playing the root. But it can get kind of boring where some of the excitement comes in. So it's a little bass lesson, and I'm just an amateur fiddling around. But yeah, when I play, I try to use the 1 and the 5. And to me, the 2 4, playing around with that sounds interesting, whether I'm going up or down. So using the 2. So that's a little music. So I got about 5 minutes here. I wanted to perform first the EP of a song I've been working on. Something about dinosaurs and bankers, right? So the song that I'll be using is, I'll be saying Chancellor on the Brink of Bailing Out the Bankers, which was, that is the text of Satoshi Nakamoto. He put that comment on the first Bitcoin block, which was a newspaper clipping in England about the bank bailouts of 2008. So for those Zoomers, we had this banking crash right as I graduated high school in 2008, a great financial crash where you had pandemonium, and they did money printing on a scale of which is dwarfed by today's money printing. So Chancellor on the Brink of Bailing Out the Bankers is the one line, and then the other line I'll be using is Death to the Dinosaurs. So I like to use dinosaurs as maybe a metaphor for like the banking institutions as the legacy system. And I'll say Monsters We Wore, which is a play out to Uncle John and I, who did a podcast on the Munster rebellion, which was this, rebellion or religious revolution in Germany, and they ended up, the Munsters or the leaders of, they ended up putting on their heads on 3 spikes. So when I say Munsters, I'm doing a play on word of monster, but kind of referencing the revolution of the Munster Revolution. So I'm going to be playing around with a 1 and a 5, 2 and a 4, and just playing simply. But here's, sketching out a conceptual song that I have. Death to the dinosaurs, monsters we roar, monsters we roar. Death to the dinosaurs, monsters we roar, monsters we roar. Death to the dinosaurs, monsters we roar, monsters we roar. Oh, Chancellor, on the brink of bailing out the bankers. They're bailing out the bankers, oh Lord. Chancellor, on the brink of bailing out the bankers, oh Lord. They're bailing out the bankers, oh Lord. Chancellor, on the brink of, Chancellor, on the brink of bailing out the bankers, oh Lord. Chancellor, on the brink of bailing out the bankers, oh Lord. Chancellor, on the brink of bailing out the bankers, oh Lord. Chancellor, on the brink of bailing out the bankers. Death to the dinosaurs, monsters we roar, monsters we roar. Death to the dinosaurs, monsters we roar, monsters we roar. Death to the dinosaurs, monsters we roar, monsters we roar. Chancellor, on the brink of bailing out the bankers. They're bailing out the bankers, oh my Lord. Chancellor, on the brink of, they're bailing out the bankers, my Lord. Chancellor, on the brink of bailing out the bankers. My Chancellor is on the brink of bailing out the bankers. Death to the dinosaurs, monsters we roar, monsters we roar. Chancellor, on the brink of bailing out the bankers, oh Lord.